former Trump official Kellyanne Conway had a moment here which was so stupid, I'm willing to grant to her that it was like a gaffe. That if you asked her about it after the fact, she'd be like, okay, yeah, that was kind of stupid. So she's talking about John Fetterman, and she goes after him for daring to have a marijuana flag. But look at the weird connection that she tries to make. Check this out.
In his life, Sean, he hasn't worked a day as lieutenant governor. He put the marijuana flag up. He thought that was funny. He's trolling his opponent. He thinks that's funny. Here's what's not funny. That there's been a doubling of overdose deaths in Pennsylvania while he's been in office from 2015 to 2021.
Why would you bring up him flying the marijuana flag with overdose deaths? It is not people overdosing on marijuana. It is not that. So, to be fair to her, she does go on to bring up fentanyl. Here, I'll play that for you.
Fentanyl is rankling every corner of the state. In his life, Sean, he has.
So it's almost like she caught herself there, right? Like she brought up marijuana, then overdoses, then she realizes like, God, that's really stupid. Why did I connect marijuana to overdoses? Then it's like, no, fentanyl.
Worked a day as lieutenant governor. He put the marijuana flag up. He thought that was funny. He's trolling his opponent. He thinks that's funny. Here's what's not funny. That there's been a doubling of overdose deaths in Pennsylvania while he's been in office from 2015 to 2021. Fentanyl is rankling every corner of the state. In his life.
Okay, so we've discussed this before, but what has led to these overdose deaths? It is fentanyl. Fentanyl is the culprit. But why has there been a massive spike in overdose deaths? If I'm not mistaken, I think the number was like 100,000 in 1 year. Well, what happened was we had a pain pill problem, and then the government cracked down on the pain pills because we had a pain pill problem. I think we had, like 30,000 deaths because of the pain pills. And then when they cracked down on the pain pills, they swung the pendulum way too far in the other direction. So then genuine pain patients and addicts felt like, look, I have nowhere to go. I have to get my fix. And so they would go to the black market to get heroin, and the heroin would be tainted with fentanyl, and that's how you overdose and die. There's speculation that Philip Seymour Hoffman and Michael K. Williams, two very famous actors, that this is the reason why they died. It's because they were taking heroin, and it was laced with fentanyl, and fentanyl is way more powerful than heroin, and they died as a result of that. So it's sort of an unintended consequence in the war on drugs, and the crackdown on the pain pills led to a much worse problem, more than doubled the overdose deaths in the country because we cracked down on the pain pills, and now you have the illegal fentanyl coming in because, again, this is what happens with the black market. Same thing happened during Prohibition with alcohol. You crack down on it, you make it illegal, well then the mafia takes over the business, and a lot of the batches of alcohol are bad batches, and people can die from drinking a bad batch of alcohol. So this is what happens. So the solution is to legalize, tax, and regulate drugs, and end the war on drugs. That's the solution. Now, that doesn't mean that, like, you're going to have no regulation. Well, that's why I said legalize, tax, and regulate. Part and parcel of that regulation is making sure whatever substances are out there are safe. They're safe. So now, is any Republican, other than maybe a libertarian like Rand Paul or something like that, talking about, at the very least, decriminalizing drugs, but really legalizing, taxing, and regulating? They are talking about it. I don't see it. In fact, a lot of them are drug warriors, and they're really tough on drugs. But to the marijuana point, okay, this has been studied, and it turns out marijuana is a net benefit in the sense that it sort of replaces harder substances, and you have fewer overdoses if marijuana is available. So it actually has a net positive impact on overdoses, because it's nearly impossible to OD on marijuana. Now, that doesn't mean that some people who are rookies might smoke too much and they think they're dying and they go to the hospital and they're like, I can't feel my hands, bro. I forgot how to breathe. Like, this is shit somebody who's super high and isn't used to it might say, right? But fundamentally, they're in no danger. That's just, a mental state, effectively. So marijuana net helps with the overdoses. It reduces the overdose problem. And she's trying to link the marijuana flag with overdose deaths. But look, I'll leave it up to you guys. I know immediately after she brought up the flag, then she pivoted to fentanyl. Was it just like genuinely tripping up and like she wasn't trying to actually link those two things, but it sounded like she was linking those two things, and that's why after she brought up overdoses, she went right to fentanyl? I don't know. I'm willing to be generous because I don't think anybody's stupid enough to really think overdose deaths doubled because of marijuana. I mean, you would have to know literally nothing about any substances in order to believe that. So I guess I'm willing to be kind, but this clip did go viral because, people were wondering, hey, is she trying to say that people are overdosing on marijuana? Because that's absolutely psycho. 1.2 million views on this Twitter video. That's nuts, man. That's nuts. I do think Twitter juices their numbers, though. But, even if it's half of that. Yeah, like over 500,000 views on that. All right, Kellyanne Conway. It reminds you of the Trump days when these sorts of Trump staffers would regularly go out in the media and just shove their foot directly in their mouth. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.